All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, and double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone that continue to rule very well. And Shalom to the hopefully elect that's continually pushing forth this word and this gospel to the other members of the hopefully elect in our faith, truth, and sincerity, and giving our diligence. Now, the topic of this video is going to be entitled Don't Come Down from the Housetop. All right, which is pertaining on the book of Matthew chapter 24, and which starts at verse 15 on down, where it speaks about the housetops, because the times that we're coming into is gonna be even, like it says in the book of Daniel chapter 12. It says the time that we're coming into is not going to be compared to any other time that or any event in history that have ever happened. All right, because back then, you had events with specifically, 7 AD, to where we were driven out of that land, the land of Israel, and we were scattered throughout the four corners of the earth, which really it was the southern kingdom of the nation of Israel that left out of that land. All right. So the times that we're coming into is going to be a repeat of what happened, but the difference is that the Lord is going to make himself known. He's going to show himself and take action after the tribulation of martial law, which is known as Jacob's trouble in the scriptures, and pertaining to Jeremiah chapter 30 verse 7. That's that time of trouble we're coming into. All right. And Yahushai spoke about it, man. All right. Because when he was warning his disciples, he was telling them what was about to happen after he leaves, after he'll be crucified and taken up to the Heavenly Father. Because when he was telling these things, this was before 7 AD. And then afterwards, then it happened. Okay? But not only is it talking about 7 AD, but it's also talking about this time that we're coming into. And Matthew 24 is going to explain that. Now, this is starting at verse 15. It says, "When ye therefore shall see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet stand in the holy place. Whoso readeth, let him understand." So what's that holy place, man? The holy place is talking about the scriptures, this truth. All right. That's the holy place. All right. It's not physical, it's spiritual. All right, because we're not in the land of Israel. All right. So, and actually where it speaks about the abomination of desolation, it's like the abomination of desolation, back then, during that time, you had the Greeks that came into power, which were Edomites. All right, because the Greeks and the Romans were Edomites. They are the same nation. So you had the Greeks that came into power, starting with Alexander the Greek, which stemmed down to his generals. And out of those generals, one specific one out of the Seleucid dynasty was Antiochus or Antiochus Epiphanes. All right, which sacked the temple and defiled it. And guess what? It's going to be a repeat, man. All right, because the Greeks and the Romans, like I said before, is the same nation. All right, and they're going to sack Jerusalem, in which Jerusalem is a people before it's a place. All right, because their main target, these elites of Esau, which is the so-called white man, was the wicked that the Bible speaks of. His main target is the prophets, the ones that are out on the highways and byways. All right, that's his main target. So he's targeting us, and he's also gonna he's also targeting the rest of the nation of Israel as well, man, because that same hatred is rooted in Esau, going back to when Jacob and Esau were fighting in the womb. All right, which Jacob is progenitor of the nation of Israel, and Esau is the progenitor of the nation of Edom. So that same hatred between those two nations, Israel and Edom, is still here today in the present. All right. So it's going to come a point in time to where, Esau, is going to run into, 3 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning, breaking down people's doors and carrying them out to a concentration camp, man. All right. Because these different locations that Esau's been setting up, he's been setting up these places for detainment. All right. Now going back into the scriptures at verse 15, it says, "When ye therefore shall see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet stand in the holy place," and right here it's gotten in parentheses, man. It says, "Whoso readeth, let him understand." All right. And see, it says, let him read it, let him understand. So they let you know that it's not talking about a physical place. All right. It's spiritual. Once again, verse 16 says, "Then let them which be in Judea flee into the mountains." All right. So there it is, man. It says, let him be in Judea, flee into the mountains. And at that time, he was telling them literally, he says, look, if you're in Judea, go ahead, leave, man. Don't stay. All right. Verse 17 says, let him, which is the point, it says, let him which is on the housetop not come down to take anything out of his house. All right. Like I said, man, this is the topic of the video, is concerning the housetop. Now I'm going to get the word housetop. All right, I'm going to show you something. Housetop, which is Doma, right? It says a building or house, part of a building, dining room, hall, housetop, roof. Now, there's the point in this definition, man. It says the housetops of the Orientals. All right. Whoa, so we got the word Orientals. What's the word Oriental mean, or Orient? All right. Because the Orient comes from the word Oriri, which means from the east. All right. So it says the housetops of the Orientals are the ones that are of the east. It's talking about us. All right. And the us that I'm talking about is the men of great millstone, started with the apostles on down, who are of the hopeful elect. All right. It says the housetops of the Orientals were and still are level and frequented not only for walking but also for meditation and prayer. All right, isn't that what we do? Don't we give ourselves over to meditation and prayer? All right. And actually, let me grab a precept to back that up. Let's see, this is the book of, should be the book of Romans chapter 6. And start at verse, Slaki, that's not the right one. It's Acts chapter 6. All right, it's the book of Acts chapter 6, and this is at verse 1. It says, "In those days when the number of the disciples was multiplied, there arose a murmuring of the Grecians against the Hebrews, because their widows were neglected in the daily ministration. Then the 12 called the multitude of the disciples unto them and said, it is not reason that we should leave the word of the Most High and serve tables. All right, because during that time, they had businesses set up. All right, and there was a murmuring, against them, because like it says right here, it says that widows were neglected in the daily ministration. All right, which ministration means service or servitude. Okay. Now verse 3, it says, wherefore, brethren, look ye out among you 7 men of honest report, full of the Holy Spirit and wisdom, whom we may appoint over this business. See, to let you know, it's talking about a business. Okay. Now, this verse 4, it says, but we will give ourselves continually to prayer and to the ministry of the word. All right. And that's even today, man. It's starting with the apostles on down, man, a great millstone. All right. We give ourselves over continually to prayer and to the ministry of the word by doing his work. All right. So going back to where it speaks about the housetop, right, where it says it was frequented, not only for walking, but for meditation and prayer. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, I'm gonna go back to verse 17. It says, let him which is on the housetop not come down to take anything out of his house. So what's that talking about? Don't leave this truth. All right, because it's gonna come a point in time where it's gonna be a heavy test. All right, that's the ultimate test. All right, because you're gonna be tried on all levels during that time. Okay. Now let me get the book of Revelations, chapter 3, verse 10. Because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I also will keep thee from the hour of temptation which shall come upon all the world, to try them that dwell upon the earth. All right. Because the word of his patience is talking about this faith, this truth, man. All right. So if we keep that, which is the word of his patience, this truth, then guess what? He says he's going to keep you from the hour of temptation, man. All right. Which is going to come upon all the world. All right. To try them that dwell upon the earth, man. All right. So we're going to be tried during that time. All right. So that's why it says, man, we got to keep the word, the word of his patience, which is this truth. All right. And keep the faith, because like I said before, during that time, you're going to be tested on all levels, man, including the level of faith. All right. So if you don't have the required amount of faith, then you're not going to be able to make it through. And the one way to gauge, to gauge your faith is by this work. All right. Because in that time, you're gonna it's either gonna be one or two ways. It's either that you did everything that you could in this truth, you gave it your all, you gave 110%, you took the Lord 10 times more, and you know that the Lord is gonna provide for you and defend you in that day. Or it could be the other way. You're gonna feel like you didn't do enough. All right, you didn't do enough work. And you're gonna be doubting during that time, and He's not gonna defend you. All right, because you're doubting Yahweh about Shemiel Shai. So that's the gauge of your faith. All right, Lord willing, I might just do a video on that, man, because that's to the point, man. That's the truth. Okay, the gauge of faith is this work. All right, I might title it like that. Lord willing, when I get around to it. All right. Now it says, behold, I come quickly. Hold that fast which thou hast, that no man take thy crown. Him that overcometh, it's like him that overcometh will I make a pillar in the temple of my power, and he shall go no more out. And I will write upon him the name of my power, and the name of the city of my power, which is New Jerusalem, which cometh down out of heaven from my power, and I will write upon him my new name. All right. So that's the point. Now let's jump back to Matthew. See 24. It's like you. All right, Matthew chapter 24, verse 17 says, let him which is on the housetop not come down to take anything out of his house. All right, once again, don't leave this faith, this truth. Okay. Neither let him which is in the field return back to take his clothes. And woe unto them that are with child, and to them that give suck in those days. But pray ye that your flight be not in the winter, neither on the Sabbath day. For then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time. No, nor ever shall be. So that lets you know that Yahushua he wasn't only talking about 70 AD, but he was also talking about this time that we're coming into now, man. That's why he said that. It says it will not be, this time that we're coming into is not going to be since the beginning of the world, or ever shall be. All right. Daniel said the same thing, man. All right. In the book of Daniel chapter 12, starting at verse 1. Okay. Now, verse 22, it says, except those days should be shortened, there should no flesh be saved. But for the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened. So when that time comes, the times are going to be speeding up even more. All right. You think that the time is flying now, it's going to fly by even twice, 3 times, 4 times. It's going to go by so quick, man. All right. So that's pretty much it on this topic, man, concerning the housetops, man. So we just went to the word housetops, which means doma, right? Which one of the definitions were a place of the Orientals, which once again, that's talking about us, because our minds are set towards the east. All right? Because what's at the east? Jerusalem. All right? The land of Israel. Okay? In other words, we set our minds to our heritage and our culture, which we lost, man. Jeremiah 17:4 tells you that, about how we lost our heritage, that we discontinued from it, and now we're coming back to it. All right? So it's that place of the Orientals, which is not only frequented for walking, but also for meditation and prayer. All right? So don't come down off your housetop, man. Okay? So with that, man, Lord willing, y'all can be edified by this video. And until next time, once again, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone that continue to rule very well. And peace and safety to the hopefully elect that's diligently doing this work, pushing out videos, going out in the highways and byways, continually doing these things that are pleasing to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. Shalom to you members of the hopefully elect, you sincere Akim. And with that, I'm going to say shalom.